Welcome to the Cultivating Business Growth podcast, bringing you bi-weekly discussions designed to help you grow your business and create the lifestyle you desire. Elevate your business with proven strategies from virtual CFOs, CPAs, and business advisors. We discuss real-world challenges solved with actionable steps that get you the results you need both in business and building the life you deserve.
Welcome to episode number 162 of the Cultivating Business Growth podcast, brought to you by Willow Virtual CFO. Today, we're honored to have Dr. Grace Yum on the podcast. Dr. Yum is not only a highly successful pediatric dentist, but also the founder of Mommy Dentists in Business, a thriving community dedicated to supporting women in dentistry who are balancing both business and motherhood. With years of experience running her own dental practice, Dr. Yum recognized a need for a space where fellow dentist moms could connect, share insights, and support each other through the challenges of business ownership and work-life balance. What started as a small Facebook group has grown into a nationwide movement, providing education, mentorship, and networking opportunities for thousands of women in dentistry. In today's conversation, we're diving into her journey of founding and growing Mommy Dentists in Business, how she managed it alongside her dental practice, and the lessons she's learned about leadership, entrepreneurship, and building a powerful community. Welcome, Dr. Yum.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We're very excited to have you. And I had the opportunity to meet with you and your community earlier this year in January at a live event. So that was really great to see it all come to fruition in person. It was a great experience. Loved being able to collaborate with everybody.
Well, Jamie, we loved having you. And it was our first collaboration together, and the community received you so well. You were outstanding, very impressive. And we were so happy that we had such a great positive experience. And your passion for helping women in business and your passion for serving the community really shows in your work. So kudos to you. And I really, truly appreciate that you were present and a part of our event.
Great. Well, thank you. I love hearing all that. To dive in, why don't we just start with talking to me about what inspired you to create Mommy Dentists in Business community?
Absolutely. I would love to share my story. It actually stems from selfish reasons. It was never altruistic to begin with. I I was running two big dental practices, pediatrics and orthodontics, and I had 7 associate doctors working for me with a large team, as you can imagine. And
Yes.
I was also teaching at both of our pediatric residency programs in Chicago and was busy with that. 2 children, very young children as well. And in 2017, I launched Mommy Dentists in Business on Facebook group. And the reason why I launched on that platform was because I was a part of many different Facebook groups and realized very quickly that I could not identify with my colleagues on a deeper level. And there really was no space to ask questions that were really related to women and mothers. For example, I could not go onto a different dental Facebook group with 20, 30,000 people. God knows who they all are. They're not even all dentists. And I have questions about, I have an employee who needs to pump. She just got back from maternity leave. How are you handling that situation? Or I have an infant and I need to change my schedule. Or I am juggling a thriving business, but my husband is a consultant and not home Monday through Friday, and I feel like I am single parenting. Those types of questions, sure, you can ask on any forum, but the answers you receive are a mixed bag. And I could not identify with those responding to questions like that. Whether it was my post or somebody else's post, I found that many of the responses were either not helpful, condescending, people who don't understand. And I quickly realized, Jamie, if you don't have a uterus, you really don't know.
Right.
So I'm
You don't
sorry.
live it. How can you
Right.
understand?
Yeah. Why are you even answering me? Like, what gives you the right to answer the way you do or did
Mm-hmm.
without being able to identify with me? And that's where, somewhat out of spite, I created this group. And it wasn't to leave people out by any means, but I found that women who were raising children in any circumstance, you are the guardian, you are the primary caregiver. It offers a whole set of challenges that I didn't have children until I was 36 years old. I had my business way before I was 36 years old. It's night and day. It's night and day. And therefore, this Facebook group was birthed. I I also realized that when you are a small dental practice owner, you're confined to just your four walls. My husband, who's an attorney who does not practice law but does the business side of law, he walks into a law firm with easily 200 plus lawyers in a firm. And when they go on a company retreat, I mean, they need a campus. And there's multiple things going on. There's so many people to different departments, so many people to use as resources versus if you are the single doctor, who are you going to ask for help? And often I find that online forums are a great way for dentists who feel isolated to connect and ask questions so that they can share best practices and insights.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's so true. I mean, even having kids back in my firstborn was born in 2008 and I was, leaving the workforce. I feel like the options were like work full time or don't work. Like those were your
Right.
options. And I feel like those two options weren't the best for me. And, I went back working part time. So I feel like sometimes you need to create what you need. Right.
Right.
And it sounds like this community was like what you needed. And so, I feel like things that stem from that and like are very organic, kind of organically built, like
Yes.
really resonate well, right? Like you weren't the only person who had those feelings of like, I wish I could just get somebody who really knows to ask
Right.
questions
Right.
of, that gets
And
it and is
a,
going through the same things
a
instead of just
vetted
everybody.
a vetted community, really, a vetted
Yeah.
community, and I took that seriously, and every single person that's in our group is a dentist or a mom, and I'll share a story. In the very beginning, the community that started with me, the OGs, we call them. They and I, like, everybody decided it's like a co-op, right? The certain rules that came along was a decision not just made by myself, but along the way we developed a silent board. Along the way, we've evolved. It's been 7 years running this community, and there's so many pluses and so many great things that have come out of it, but really to serve our colleagues and have a safe space where they can come without judgment and ask questions and not be mansplained or not have to deal with our counterparts. But we have to keep some agreements of what we cannot discuss in the group just to keep the peace, right? and
Yes.
and of course we all want to be professionals and we all want to be there for one another as professionals, but first and foremost it is a space for professionals. And I have to remind everyone, just because you think this is social media or Facebook, it doesn't mean that courtesy and manners are out the window. It doesn't mean you can just type whatever you want without any repercussion.
Yeah. No, that's great. Having rules and kind of guidelines about what is okay. And I do love how I think, you're very intentional about who is part of that group, which I think probably helps with keeping kind of those guidelines in place and what we're
Right.
talking about and why we're
Right.
talking about it.
Right.
Um, what was the biggest challenge in kind of building that group from the beginning? Was
I
there any
think,
like initial
yeah,
complications?
sure. I think in the very beginning, we were learning about what boundaries to put in place, as you identified, to keep this a good space. But people have to realize, I didn't sign up to be the poster child of women in dentistry. I didn't do this
Mhm.
intentionally. As you mentioned, it was all organic. It filled a need, it filled a space. And for me, it was for myself. And share this story and this analogy. It's like I started a coffee shop, Jamie,
Mhm.
and I invited my friends to come to the coffee shop. And I said, you know what? AKA back then, my dental office. I said, I will serve you free coffee. Just come and hang out with me and we'll talk about your good day. We'll talk about your bad day. And soon my friends wanted to invite their friends that I didn't know. And I was like, well, I only initiated the space for my own friends and my own referrals and my own network because I know you guys. And this is a trusted space. Like we know each other. We
Yeah.
can share with each other in a trusted environment. And I'm happy to serve you coffee for free because you are my friend. Right. And
Yeah.
then they said, well, my friend needs this kind of support. Can I invite my friend? I'm like, okay, fine. So we invited everybody else's friends. And then it became too crowded in my coffee shop. And there was a line out the door to get into the coffee shop. And then they said, well, what about mochas and lattes? And what about croissants and maybe egg bites? And what about having that? Well, I'm going to need a barista and then I'm going to need a server and I'm going to need this. You want all of that, then I can no longer provide it for free. Right. And that's where our
Right.
membership began. They got, okay, the community said, we will help pay for all these services because they wanted CE, they wanted podcasts, they wanted webinars, they they wanted to have a live event. And I said, you want me to put on a live event? I don't even know how to do that. Like I've never, I go to meetings. I don't throw them. I don't put them together. I don't find speakers and I have zero experience in that. Right. And so the official membership, we call it, is an annual fee now in which it supports all these services. And that's where we really do our intentional work and thrive. Now, again, it's a coffee shop. Then members were saying, oh, I live in New York. I live in Texas. I live in LA. I live in Florida. I can't come to Chicago physically to be at your coffee shop. So we opened up different Facebook groups for all these different locations where we have volunteer leaders who can open up a coffee shop in their area and the locals can go to their coffee shop in their area. And so we do that. And we have signature events. And people ask me, how did you do this? How did you build this? And I tell them it was never intentional. I was thrown to the wolves. It just happened to be me. And
Yeah.
I just did it out of the kindness of my heart, but also, hey, let's make it happen, and I was excited to do it as well. Um, and that's how it is, and that's how it is what it is today, and I'm very proud of what we've built, but it's very community oriented, and what we do is in service to the community, their requests, their recommendations, their suggestions, and that's how we are where we are.
I love it. Any steps along the way that you thought, "Wait a minute, I don't I don't wanna do I don't know if I can do this." Like you said, you
Yes,
weren't
yes,
planning to, or you're like, "Hey," and did it sounds like probably people stepped in and said, "Hey, I can help you with that," right?
yes, yes,
You got support from
absolutely,
folks that said,
yes.
"You don't have to do it on your own.
Right,
Let's help."
right, right. They absolutely did. And I realized what actually was the highlight of the growth of our business was COVID. And when COVID hit, we were all scared. We were all wondering, how are we going to thrive? How are our practices going to survive COVID? And what COVID did for me was bring out all my strengths at that time. Strengths and things that I didn't know that I could do. And one would call it leadership skills. I've never taken a leadership class to save my life. But when COVID hit, I pulled so many resources and I pulled so many experts and people who thrive in pressure and stress and emergency, that's
Yes.
me.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, if you threw me in an emergency situation, I will spring to action. I don't freak out that easily. And what I did for our community during those COVID times with the help of members, we were able to navigate COVID and all, like, our membership just exploded. And that
And I'm sure there was a
year,
big need for that community, right? During that
right,
time
right.
of
But
sitting at
I was
home
sitting at
thinking, oh
home,
gosh, I'm
right,
trying to teach my child
right,
kindergarten,
right, right.
which I'm not qualified to
Exactly.
do.
Well, what
But
was interesting was during 2020, many of the members were coming to me and saying, Grace, you were able to grab information and provide information faster than my own accountant, faster than my lawyer, faster than the ADA, faster than the state organization. And it's because I was able to pull resources quickly, very fast, and bring it to everybody quickly. And a year later in 2021, I pulled data and analysis from my group. Our members financially performed better than the year before.
wow,
And we were the outperformers. And
that's amazing.
I surveyed our outperformers privately. They privately submitted anonymously, answered my surveys. And what was amazing was that with all of our collaboration and all the information we were able to gather and all the equipment, supplies I was able to garnish quickly and hoard, I was a hoarder for our group. When it was time to open to see patients, we were open right out the gate. We had everything. There were community dentists that were reaching out to other mommy dentists in their community asking to join my group, asking for supplies, asking me for resources, asking me for help. And, I said, I only have enough resources to service my community. And our mommy dentist financially outperformed during that year of COVID. And so
That's
we
amazing.
we all stuck together and we realized, yes, there is competition. Yes, we have competition in our own neighborhoods, but this proves that you can go further together than by yourself. And it behooves you to collaborate and have an abundant mindset than not enough, or there's only enough for me, or I'm not going to share my resources, or I'm not going to collaborate because guess what? We have just shown and proven statistically that when you do collaborate and cooperate, you can actually do much better.
Yeah, that's amazing and an amazing leadership takeaway, even though, as you said, sometimes leadership comes from doing, right? It doesn't come from a book you read. There's lots of great books out there. They have lots of great advice, but sometimes living through it is the best leadership because there was no plan, there was no steps. It was you just did it, right? You just figure it out. I feel like women are really great at there is no plan. I mean, kudos to you and your group. I mean, it was a difficult, stressful time. Nobody knew what was going to happen next. And instead of cowering, right, and pulling the covers over your head, which I feel like a lot of us wanted to do some days, right? You just dug in
Right.
and said, hey, how are we going to deal with this? We
We
have to deal with it. Here we are.
we dealt with it because honestly, I wanted everyone to succeed, and of course my own practices were on the line as well. So
Yeah.
it was just springing into action and saying, "Hey, I'm not going to be paralyzed in fear. You you can't just sit here and cry. You can cry. You can have your day of crying,
Hey, have your
but
moment.
you can't sit there and cry every day. Like you need to do something, right? The actions have to be put into place. And that's what happened. We are very action oriented, community action oriented group. And I find that my members who are my official paying members, they understand, Jamie, the need to invest. They understand that $749 a year is worth the investment. And there are habits of successful people, and successful people invest in themselves. They are action oriented. They take care of themselves, their physical health, because
Right.
without your
People think, "Oh,
health,
I can't take care of myself.
right,
That's right.
right.
I can't worry about myself. I gotta just do things." No,
No,
that's important to
that's
making everything else
yes,
work.
right.
It's
And
you.
yeah, and the fourth is they know how to network. They know that the power of networking and the power of knowing the right people. and making it happen. Those 4 things are habits of highly successful mommy dentists.
I love that. That's amazing. One question I have for you. So while you were in the midst of growing this business, right, you got through COVID, you also have your dental practices. Did you hit any points of burnout and stress in doing all this together? And like what got you through that? Obviously you're here and still successful. So I know you got through it, but did you have any moments of like, this is just too much, I can't do it? And just how did you kind of work through that?
Sure. Of course there's stress. There's always stress. And no matter what anyone says, a healthy dose of stress is good. If you had 0 stress and your life was la la la, I'm not really sure how much you would accomplish. I think any high achieving person, any person who is a gunner, dentists, professional working women don't become professional working women because they're afraid of stress. They rise to the occasion. There's always stress. And you have to understand everyone has a different threshold for stress. I just happen to have a higher threshold for stress and I thrive in stress. But for me, my signal is when my body starts to break down. In my brain, I think I can keep going forever. But if I start getting signals from my body, frozen shoulder, or something is breaking down, or getting sick, right? Then I know that I'm imbalanced, that I need to take care, I need to slow down because I always feel like I can go at 120 miles per hour. But for those of us who feel burnout, then I would recommend talking to a therapist and assessing where is your true center of happiness. Unhappy people get burnt out and stressed more easily than happy people. And you have to learn, you have to make happiness a choice. Happiness is a decision, and you have to choose it, and you have to act on it. Nobody else can make you happy. Materialistic things can't make you happy. I mean, temporarily, but where deep down inside, you have to do the inside work, I call it. And if you can't understand or you don't know what makes you happy deep down inside, then everything outside isn't going to make you happy. And then you will face burnout. If I wasn't passionate about what the work I'm doing, I wouldn't be doing it. If mommy dentist for me wasn't fun, I wouldn't be doing it. Right? What is your passion? What lights you up? What motivates you? What gets you up out of bed? What makes you happy? And you can't say my kids. Yes, of course they're going to make you happy, right? But what is your internal motivation, right? And identifying that. But if you are at a place of unhappiness and burnout, if it's not medical oriented, as in we need to talk about prescription medications. There's no shame in that. If somebody needs to be on Wellbutrin or somebody needs to be on medication, that's a physiological issue and there's no judgment. Then you have to take that medication. But if it's something that is not a medical issue and you're feeling sadness, you're feeling unmotivated, people say, well, take another course. Oh, I'm not motivated at work because I do crowns all day and fillings all day. Oh, go learn Invisalign. Well, maybe that's it. Maybe you need something to light you up in your practice that you're excited about because it may be a new procedure. Or maybe it's you need to reassess your hobbies. Maybe it's like, hey, I love skiing and I haven't gone in a year. Well, make that time to go skiing and finding balance, finding the time for yourself because that imbalance is part of the problem, right? And there's no perfect picture of balance, but perspective. I always talk even with my kids in framework of perspective. Is this problem going to matter in 9 days, 9 weeks, 9 months, 9 years? If the answer is yes after 9 years, then it really is a problem that you have to address, right? So perspective, there's only so many hours in the day. And you have to think on, okay, how much time am I going to exert on this? And then go from there. But if you're truly burnt out and you're truly, upset and not happy and it's not medically oriented, reassess, reevaluate, and then pivot. You are not stuck. You are not a tree.
I love that. Yeah, that's great. You need to do what you've got to figure out what you need, right? To
Yeah.
solve the problem. Take a break, step back. I know for me, sometimes it's like, I just can't think about this anymore. For like, I need to go on
Right,
vacation.
right,
I want to be in nature. I want to
right,
go like garden. I mean, I'm
right.
not a huge gardening person, but sometimes after like a busy week at my desk and like just thinking
Yeah,
about things, I'm like, I just want to go pull weeds. Like, just,
right,
just sunshine and, the earth and like just a different perspective. I just need to
right.
get away from that. And sometimes that just kind of
Absolutely.
gives you a relief of like, there's other things in the world. Don't forget when we live
Right,
in our little capsule, we kind of get pulled into like, this is the most important thing. And then you're like, no, this is
no,
important.
right,
I care,
right.
but there's other things in the world. So I feel
There's
like that, like you said,
exactly.
perspective helps to
Perspective,
say,
right.
hey, there's other things. I can do
There's
something else. Take a break, take a deep breath and be
exactly.
okay.
And there's so much research that shows that, right? Whether it's physical activity, working out relieves stress. Being in nature reduces stress. Being by bodies of water even reduces more stress. And so not everybody lives by a body of water, but like you said,
Yes.
go outside, breathe the fresh air, take a break, and then come back to it.
Yeah, one of the things, it was post-COVID. We got a post-COVID dog, not a COVID
Oh,
dog.
yeah.
But one of the things I liked about having her is it just required me to go outside. Like she needs to
Yes.
go for a walk.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what was the responsibility, obviously, take care of my dog,
Yes.
was also of like, I have to stop work and I have to go take her and I got to take her for a walk around the block. And I
Yes.
get
Yes.
out of my like where, like you probably like, I want to work, I want to get things done. And I'm like, oh, if I can work this extra 30 minutes, I can, what can I get off my to-do list and cross off? But sometimes it's nice to be like, no, there's like a required break that
There's
like
a
I have
required
to put
break.
it
Yes.
down because
Yes.
you can work through
Yes.
your lunch, you can
Right.
do all kinds of things, but you're like, nope, I have a dog here. She's going to drive me crazy if I don't take
Mhm.
her outside to get her
Mhm.
some fresh air so she can nap the rest of the day and I can work. But I think,
Absolutely.
it could be a lot of different things. So yeah, I think
Absolutely.
perspective is important for sure.
Absolutely.
So as we kind of talk about, you building this community while being, a dental practice owner, what would you say is the importance of the networking and the mentorship and community within business growth? You talked a little bit to it, how important your members know that all of these things are. So can you talk a little bit more about how important that is for business ownership for women from that
Yes,
perspective?
absolutely. It's very important, and sometimes you don't even realize it. You don't know what you don't know. And then when you come, let's say the CEO roundtable, Jamie, that you were at, the power of being around, surrounding yourself with like-minded people, it is so powerful. That's where the brain tank and the brain think happens, masterminding, coming out with questions and answers. And what I love about we have 3 cohorts, A, B, C, 60-ish to 70-ish women per cohort. And it's about women who want to mentor, but also be mentored no matter what age you are. And so one cohort, we have a practice owner. She still owns her practice 40 years. We have another, and
She
in
knows learning is
right, learning is
continuous.
forever,
It's
continuous.
forever.
And
Yes.
I applaud her, right? And here's the thing, when you start to think, I know everything,
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to learn anymore. I don't need
Mm-hmm.
more friends. That's when it
Mm-hmm.
becomes dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
When you are on autopilot, that is when it becomes dangerous. And it's so easy to be on autopilot. But as a business owner, you need to know what's going on. AI, how are people using artificial intelligence in dentistry? You need to know the latest and upgrades, even if you're not doing those techniques, right? As a
Mm-hmm.
specialist, I'm a pediatric dentist. I still learn about everything that general dentists are doing, surgeons are doing, orthodontists are doing. Why? I even know what biological dentists are doing. Why? Because patients ask me. And when patients ask me, I don't want to look uninformed. I want to say to them, "Oh, I know exactly, what your question's about. I may not know the exact answer, but here's what I do know from my colleagues." So that's the thing, is that being with other moms in dentistry brings you to this level of comfort, knowing that they can identify with your exact problems, because these women are walking in your shoes, like literally in your shoes. And you might be in Texas and this one might be in New York, but you're literally living parallel lives. And that's the beauty of networking, is because you can feel supported, not alone. And then you have a text chain going with 3 or 4 other women all across the country. And you can say, oh my God, I had 50 patients on my day, but my suction stopped working. Oh my God, you know what? I have 60 patients on my day, but my hygienist is sick. What are we doing? Oh my God, I need a new, I'm transferring my old x-rays to digital. What are you using? Oh, what's the best deal? I need to get a whole line of new bond and composite. Like, what are you using? How are you handling the situation? So here's the thing. You can go ahead and ask on Facebook. You just don't know who's going to answer you. And are those responses sound? Are they to be trusted? Because quite honestly, I read a lot of the other posts and other groups. Half the answers, like 50%, I'm like, I would never do this, nor would I ever recommend this.
Yep.
And for those who are new dentists, be careful whose advice you listen to, because you could end up in more of a mess.
So make sure you trust and vet your own group of people, right? If you don't have,
Absolutely.
if you haven't yet, but yeah.
Absolutely. And what works for one, it doesn't work for another. It is not one size fits all. And as you know, in
Right.
accounting, you have to look at all the numbers. And just because this person over here says she produced $2.5 million doesn't mean that she's pocketing that, right? She might be
Yep.
2.5 million and her overhead is 70%. And you might be 1 million, but your overhead is 40%. So tell me, right? So I'm
Yep.
not impressed until I see what you're pocketing home.
Yeah.
I don't,
The full picture, right?
yeah,
Not just a part of the picture.
who cares? Okay, you make 5 million, whatever. How much you bringing home? Not impressive. To a new student, they might be like, oh my God, you're making 5 million? You're producing 5
Yeah.
million? Right? And it's like, no, honey, no. That's just the tip of the iceberg. You got to do a little
Right.
digging. So
Yep.
that's where we come in and we help dentists identify where they can be more profitable, where they can do better as a leader in their practice. We may help encourage women to stand up to their business partners who are men, because oftentimes they get the back seat or they're paid less. Why in the world are you paid less if you are equal partners? Please explain that to me. We're about to have a
Kudos.
discussion.
I agree. 100%.
Right.
Negotiate. One of my key
Mm,
takeaways when I talk about, like what are your advice for women? Negotiate your salary every time.
every
Every
time.
time.
Every
Never
time.
never assume, and oh, that's uncomfortable. It's more uncomfortable not to get paid what you're worth, right? I mean, you've got to
Absolutely.
advocate for yourself. And
Right.
yeah,
Right.
so I'm with you on that 100%. And it's
Yep.
hard. It's not always comfortable,
It's not always
but
comfortable.
you got to do it.
No, you gotta
You
do
got to
it.
advocate for yourself because
And
nobody else is. If they can
nobody
pay you
else is.
5,000 less, they will.
Yeah,
you
and
know.
that's where I step in. Is I'm more of a tough love giver than a
Uh-huh.
sugar coater, and
Yep.
sometimes people need that. There's a
Hmm.
time and a place for sugar coating and really like being like, okay, like let's slow down here and take a breath and let me hear what's going on. And then there's another time for really like presenting tough love. And it's a balance, right? And
Yep.
that's where we come in, is to help women feel empowered, help women feel they earn what they're due, help women get onto the podium to be speakers. That's what this vision's all about. It's all about thriving, and it's all about, hey, if so and so can do it, why can't you? Right?
Exactly.
And I'm
Love it.
not saying compare yourself. I'm saying reach for the stars. You are limitless. There's absolutely no reason why you can't do something. And women often face imposter syndrome. Women often face, I would say, doubt, right? And then they use time as an excuse. I see way too many women using time as an excuse, limited time. We all have
Hmm.
limited time. We all, in this group, we all have kids, right? So
Right.
time is not an excuse that I'm willing to accept I'm just not.
You make the time for things that are important, right? I mean, I feel
Exactly,
like that's very,
exactly.
if it's
Ex
important enough, you find time. If it's not, then it falls,
Right,
to the
right,
wayside.
right. And so, like, within our official members group, I also have masterminds on Be the Queen. And this is women who are true pioneers. Iron sharpens iron. You want to 10x your life? Let's go. Right? They have kids in all ages, and they are on fire. I mean, these women are going to do whatever it takes to make it happen. And I'm just saying, hey, if that is you, if I'm speaking to you, then you need to come join us and how to figure out why 2x when you can 10x or whatever that level you want to get to, right? So that's what we're all about. We're all about helping women thrive. And when you realize what you're capable of and you drop those limiting beliefs and you have a community of women that are going to help you get from point A to point B, that's when the magic happens. And I just love seeing that. Make your own magic.
Awesome. That is an amazing way to come to the end of our session. I know I could talk to you probably all day, Dr. Yum. You have lots of great insights. And, again, I love what you're doing to support women. And I love that there's a business ownership and women and moms, all kind of melted together because I feel like it is a very unique group of people that are going through unique challenges. So I love that you've pulled that all together and really are striving to help support them and guide them and all that. That's amazing. So where can our listeners find more information about Mommy Dentist in Business or you, Dr. Yum? Can you kind of direct them where they can go?
Absolutely, Jamie. You all can come to our Facebook page and go look for Mommy Dentist in Business. Same thing on Instagram and YouTube. If you're looking for me on LinkedIn, look up Grace Yum Zimmerman. Also, our website is www.mommydibs.com. And look for any regional information. Go to our website. They do regional meetups. I speak at a lot of the State Dental Society meetings as well. I'll be at Greater New York next year, also be at Ohio State Dental Society next year. If you're a California dentist, we are having a meetup in May in Anaheim at the California Dental Association. Everyone is welcome. So even if you just haven't even become a mommy dentist, or we also have a separate Facebook group for women in business and
Awesome.
women who are not moms. So we have another Facebook group to support all of our women in dentistry. So feel free to reach out and message us. We are here for you. We're here to support you, and we are here to be a resource. So come and be a part of it.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Do you have any final words of encouragement for our business owners that are managing all of these, responsibilities?
Yes, I do. And that is to delegate and manage your time wisely. Think about
Great.
the 80/20 rule. Unless it makes you happy, there's no shame in delegating it to somebody else. For example, housework. So I just want to leave it at that. If you need ideas on how to get that done, message me and I'll tell you. But please, women out there, you don't have to be folding your laundry. You don't have to be washing the dishes and vacuuming. And you don't have to do all of those things, especially if your partner's working and if you're in a dual income situation. It shouldn't fall on your shoulders to do it all. It's not effective and it's not a good use of your time.
I love it. Delegate. That's a skill that I feel like women need to use more too. Delegate. Business, home, everywhere. I love
Everywhere.
it. Well, thank you, Dr. Yum, so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. To our listeners, please subscribe, leave a review here, or share this episode with your community. Keep that momentum going, and we will see you next time.